Hello and welcome to another edition of Left-Handed with a Lot to Say. I'm James Lott Jr. and that's Lot with two T's, not one. And I'm here with another guest who is left-handed. That's what we do here. Somebody asked me once, will I get a right-handed person on here? I'm like, no, it's left-handed people only. It's a special club. That's all we do. She's a music teacher from Georgia, and we're going to talk to her about her left-handedness. And she had written to me online and told me a bunch of stuff. I have questions for her. I'm very excited to have her on the show, Rebecca McWilliams. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi. I'm excited to be here.
Perfect. I like your earrings. Very cute.
Thank you.
So, okay. And I also like that painting behind you with the guy with the guitar.
Oh, yeah. That's my husband, and it's painted by his dad, my father-in-law.
Wow. Very cool. That's a cool story.
Who is a left-handed artist, professional painter. Yeah.
So your father-in-law's left-handed.
Yeah. And so, yeah, my father happens to be left-handed as well.
What? Okay. So we'll start from there. So your father-in-law is left-handed. So you guys got your kids out on that side, and then your father is left-handed. Anybody else in your family left-handed?
My father's mother is left-handed, and I think there's some others, but I don't.
I'm just say in the immediate family. I was going to say so grandmother, your father, you. So you got like generations, but your kid, no, not my guess.
Well, she's 2 years old, and I have to say she does seem to use her left hand. I've been noticing that she seems to more often use her left hand, but I know that it's hard to tell. As they develop, they might switch off, and so I don't really know yet. She doesn't know how to write yet, but she does. I mean, she colors, and she sometimes uses right, but it seems to be left more often, so we'll see.
I love it. I interviewed my grandson who's left-handed, so it's me, him, my brother, that's it. My whole family don't come from any left-handed people at all on both sides. So it's kind of like, okay, we're the anomalies. I don't know why that happened, but I got a grandson who's left-handed, so I made them be happy on there. So I want to ask you, are you ambidextrous? And I was reading what you wrote to me online. Do you consider yourself ambidextrous or just a left-handed person who could do things with their right hand?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of use of that word ambidextrous, or maybe some misconceptions about it. To me, ambidextrous means you can do anything equally well with your right hand or your left hand, no matter what the activity is. But I do some things with my left hand and other things with my right hand. And there is not one activity in which I'm either one I can do. I do have preference, but it's activity dependent. So I write with my left hand, I throw with my right hand, I eat with my left, but I cut with my right, both with a knife and with scissors. And I mean, there's just all different things. I bat left and golf. I mean, I don't really play golf, but mini golf, I'm left.
Yes.
And I said I throw right. And every time I try or I learn a new activity, when people ask me, am I right or left-handed, to try to, show me how to hold it, or give me a special thing if I'm left-handed or something, I really don't know, because I haven't tried it yet. I got to try it out and see. So that's how it was with archery, and I don't even remember. Actually, archery might be one thing where I can't say if one side or the other. I don't even know which is like it. In some things, it's weird because, like in archery, is it right-handed to pull back with the right hand, or to
shoot? Or yeah.
Because with guitar, you fret with the left and strum with the right. But to me, I mean, it takes a lot of dexterity to do the fretting. And so I don't understand why this is considered the normal right-handed way to play guitar, and the left-handed guitar, you know, just switches the fretting hand and the strumming hand. Yeah, and like holding children, I always hold them on the left side, but I think that's common because, you know, they say because of the heartbeat, the heart being
Oh,
closer to the
yeah,
left. I think that's common for a lot of, or most, I don't know.
yeah, yeah,
I've heard.
yeah. You bring up some good points. We're gonna get into because you're music. We're gonna get into music in a second. But I always ask this question of every left-handed person. It's like, do you remember when you knew you were different?
Oh yeah, that's, I can't, I don't really think that there was any moment that sticks out, or any memory, you know, formative memory about just knowing. I feel like I've always known and accepted that I'm different and special in that way. Or I mean, I probably didn't, I know it wasn't a big deal, you know, for me, like in school growing up. And I don't think I really thought about it too much until I was, you know, kind of in adolescence. You know, I think in early childhood, I don't remember. Maybe there is something that might pop up. Uh, but yeah, I don't feel, I don't, yeah, I don't, I just knew that you know, I'm left-handed. I write with my left
You know,
hand.
for me, a lot of it came, you know, when I got a school age child, and it came to playing sports. That was like
Yeah.
one, because it's like, oh, I got to bat this way, or oh, I kick this way. Oh, you know, it's like they were like, oh, and then coaches would go, oh, you're left-handed, and they would like kind of would not make a big deal, to make a deal that I had to do it a different way. Yeah, I remember, like, that's kind of what I remember being, and also tying my shoes. No one could teach me how to tie my shoes because it was like,
Oh yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, I've been meaning to look up like how to teach a kid to tie their shoes. I think that's so hard to do. I've never, I don't know. Yeah. People do that differently. But yeah, with sports, it's like I always felt special being a left-handed batter. And I wish that I was a left-handed thrower.
yeah,
And of course, you know, people get trained to be switch hitters all the time.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just know that for me, going back to what you're saying, there was no moment either. Like some people actually have a moment, they tell me on the show, but I don't have a moment either. I just remember it was made to my attention that I was different because I couldn't learn a certain way. Like they would go, "Oh, you can't learn." And they tried to make me right-handed when I was a little small. I was small. And
Yeah, so you had that. Yeah.
I thought that. But I mean, I should remember the tying shoes. I have a brother who's left-handed, so he's younger than me. So I taught him how to tie his shoes. They're like, just teach him. It was easier for him to pick it up because I was left-handed. And learning how to crochet, I'm like, I had to find a left-handed person.
Oh, that's interesting that, wait, so your brother is left-handed or no?
Yeah,
He is.
yeah.
Oh, okay, because I was thinking like, I just had this thought like, oh, is teaching someone else to tie their shoes as a lefty, is it easier because you're going to be mirroring
Yes.
the
It was.
kid?
Yep. It is.
Yeah.
Because,
And
yeah.
no, go ahead.
And I don't love it. No, but isn't a revelation? So I tell you, the show is like the bomb. So my grandson, when it was in our show's coming out tomorrow, as of this recording, it's coming out tomorrow. He talked about that too, about having to being left-handed. People try and tell him, well, just do the opposite of what I'm doing, or they sit in front of him and try to show him they didn't look the same. When you have somebody who clearly does the same, like I said with crocheting for me, holding the needle and holding the thread, holding the yarn, I could see exactly how they do it. And it made it easier than a right-handed person going, well, you hold it like this, I'm going, but I hold it like, I mean, it's just your brain, my brain goes, I can see that. I can actually copy what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, as a music teacher in elementary, I'm always thinking about if I'm teaching motions to a song or teaching a dance, um, I think about mirroring, and it's like usually it's best to mirror, and it works best to reverse, you know, the right and left when I'm demonstrating a move. But there's always like one or a few kids that are like really smart, and they've been taught that like, oh, I'm supposed to switch, like, and especially if I use the words right and left, then there will be those little smarty pants kids who will just like switch because they know, oh, because that's your right. Like, I know that's your right, so I should be doing. So that's always a fun problem, but I always like talk too much, and I end up confusing
Oh, there you go.
the kids. Like while I'm like, I know you switch it, but I'm mirroring you and mirroring me, and it's like I just over explain and everybody's
Well, the
confused.
thing is, I think also, I mean, it must be interesting for you because you are a music teacher that you may have people who are very visual learners. Like some of them literally have to see it done. I'm kind of like that way. See it done. I can kind of adapt in sometimes. Most of the time, you show me exactly how to do it. I can pick it up. Maybe because I'm an actor and stuff, and I have memory. So it's like, oh, okay, got it, and then I can do it. When someone's showing me an opposite way or a different way, or says, read this, I'm not one of those, I can't just read instructions and get it. That's not me. I have to see it done. And I kind of get it. I'm one of those kind of people. So I know in music, I'm sure you have people who kind of play by ear and catch it, or read music and catch it, or watch you and catch it. I'm sure different ways the kids get it, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, yeah, I think it varies by activity. Um, and that's that reminds me of another interesting thing about music, music and music literacy and
Yeah.
learning to play by ear versus learning to read music, and how the two skills, depending on how they're taught, can sometimes hinder each other. Like if the traditional piano teacher will complain like, oh, my student just learns everything by ear and they don't really know how to read music, and I tell them, no, you're not allowed to listen to this piece, you have to learn it from the dots. But I mean, music is sound, and so to take the ear away and say you can't, I mean, they have to be they have to be married in some way. And I learned in a method that emphasized learning by ear at first, the Suzuki method. And so, and my teacher always said I have a really good ear. But then I learned to read music, and I found that very easy. I would learn that very quickly, and I quickly became kind of dependent on the page. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I can read this complicated stuff, but I can't play Happy Birthday like without a sheet. And I think that's really terrible. And there is that kind of divide among musicians, and I have studied that a lot. Anyway, we're getting off. I'm afraid. I'm like, there's so many things to talk about.
I
I'm
love it.
so
I love it.
afraid that we will get.
No, I love it.
Hard to
I
know
love it.
focus on, but yeah.
But no, I love it because it is part of all that. I mean, I think it's not really going off talking. It's still kind of part of how do you, if you're left-handed, how do you receive information? If you're left-handed, how do you see it? There's a whole left brain, right brain thing. I don't know how much that plays and stuff, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
With
So
left brain, right brain, I mean, I think in popular culture that has been really, really um, rammed into people. I think a lot of people are still very like operate like, oh, left-handed people are naturally more artistic and
right,
creative because they, use the right side of the brain. But if you look, the studies kind of indicate that left-handed people have a lower degree of lateralization, meaning the brain organization, it's not all one side or the other. There's more like they have more things, they have a more even distribution of use of the right and the left hemisphere, whereas right-handed people have a greater lateralization. So more of their activities are controlled by a single hemisphere. That's what I read. Like I love looking up stuff, and
yeah.
it's fascinating because it really is related to the organization of the brain, which is related to everything.
Everything, which
It is.
you and I both have professions that we need to use the brain. Clearly, it's very important to kind of try to figure it out. So when you're teaching somebody something, they get it. I guess, you know what I mean? Like you're teaching a skill that they may have already in them, but you're trying to bring it out and better it. So you kind of need to know how their brain makeup works, I guess, on some
Yeah.
they can only be helpful to you, I can imagine, when you're teaching music.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many variables, and it just, the more you learn, the more tools you have, and the more things you can try, to succeed with a child, when it comes to helping them out with what anything.
Okay, so do you teach music theory or do you teach actual instrumentation? Like, what do you teach?
I'm an elementary general music teacher, and that means I teach general music. I think traditionally in the United States, people think about elementary music, learn to play the recorder, um, sing songs, and maybe they have like a musical performance, like a play.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, elementary school is the only time when every student is required to have music
Yeah.
instruction.
Yeah.
And so I'm teaching everybody, and it's an exciting time, because I mean, it's a chance to inspire children musically, to give them a chance to discover a passion or a skill that they have, or an aptitude that they might not have otherwise known they had. Yeah, to excel in school, in where they may not excel in other areas. Um, and not all kids end up loving music, but I like to think that I can, reach everybody in a different way. So I try to do a variety of activities. And I mean, there is the curriculum that I have to follow, and
Yeah.
but there's every different area of music I have to, cover. I have to give the kids at least the experience with singing, playing instruments, reading music notation, composing and improvising music, learning about music from different cultures, and relating music to historical and cultural context,
Wow.
and also connecting it to other subject areas. So I mean, it's like it's everything. It
It
tries
is.
to be everything, and you end up, that's why I love it. But it's hard, because yeah, I just have this sense that, like, oh, everything's connected to everything. And that can sometimes make it hard for me to focus.
Yeah. Yeah. It must be interesting. Now, do you have left-handed students? Have you had left-handed students?
I definitely have, but it isn't, I never, it's not like a special, I don't treat it like it's a special thing. If somebody's left-handed, I'll say, oh, you're a lefty like me. And it's like, hey, we have a special bond. Like, we're in the club, we're both lefties. But it doesn't, um, what I'll do a lot in teaching music is, if I'm passing out instruments to kids, and I'm trying to teach them how to hold a hand drum or a tambourine. Kids, they don't know which one do I hold it in, and which one do I tap it with. And a lot of kids, if they're looking awkward with it, I will not, and because of my own experience, I don't say, like, are you right-handed or left-handed? Sometimes I'll ask them, well, which hand do you write with? Well, try it both ways. If somebody looks like they're unsure of which hand to do which thing with in playing any instrument, I tell them to try it both ways and see which one feels more comfortable. But when you learn recorder, you they don't make left-handed recorders. Like, I mean, you can learn to play it right hand on top, but I know, like, clarinet, you have to, like, the left hand's on top. All the woodwind instruments, the left hand is on the top. So I have to, so many kids are like, because most kids are right-handed, they're like, why? Because when you learn the recorder, usually you are teaching the first notes that you teach are those, ones that only
Yeah.
require the one hand and it's the left hand, and they're like, oh, I'm not as good with this hand. Can I put my other hand up here? And it's like, no, you can't. And
Yeah, they can't do
so,
that.
I mean, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's right. I said never thought of it before. That's very interesting. I tried learning clarinet when I was a kid and I didn't like it, so I was like, eh. I did cello, and I did drums and keyboard. I play piano, and so I have my keyboard is back there.
Yeah.
My music stands over there. So I mean, I do music. I mean, I release my new album's out today. As of this recording, I have a new album out today.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
Thank you. A little shameless plug. So I have a new album out on everywhere.
You're like a Renaissance man. I mean, you seem to do everything.
Everything. And then because you follow, okay, so she follows me on my fan page, James Lott Jr. That's how we met. So my fan page. You're on there apparently. So that's how we met.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I heard an episode of this podcast, and at the very end of the episode, you had made a call, invited people if you'd like to, be on the podcast if you're left-handed. And so that's why I looked you up, and then I looked at a little bit. I was like, wow, this guy does a lot of things, and yeah. Well, so yeah, so that's really cool.
Very cool.
So what kind of music?
So this particular album, I had a severe case of Bell's palsy 2 years ago, and my left side went paralyzed. So it was horrible. I had a severe case. It lasted for almost a year. So as I was re-emerging, learning how to re-talk again and re-sing again and re-think again and have sounds in my ear again, because it was very sensitive. This whole side was sensitive. I thought it was interesting. My left side went out. That was very interesting. My left side went out. And so then I started, because I'm a musician, so I started writing songs again. And these songs are very dark. That's why it's called Songs from a Dark Place. I was not in a good place. And it was very dark, but I was learning how to use my keyboard, my drum machine again, just trying to sound out words. I mean, I couldn't do anything for like a year. So I was like, the album's very raw and very minimalistic. There are a couple songs that are kind of big. I have producers and stuff. They're kind of big, but the rest of them are just me and my keyboard, drum machine, saying the truth I felt at the time.
So it has singing and lyrics and everything.
There's some singing, mostly spoken word. So I tell you, I'm a spoken word artist set to music. So
I love that. Yeah.
So it's my 6th album. I have an album with an orchestra, which I love. It's my favorite albums.
Like a full size, like big live
symphony orchestra.
That is so cool.
And we actually recorded it live.
Yeah. So you would have to. I mean, it seems like. I mean that. Otherwise, you have to do virtual, and that's what everybody's learning how to do now, and it takes like.
Right.
I mean,
but it was incredible. So you'd understand. You'd get this as a music person. So I wrote the songs for this project. They asked me to write some songs. I wrote like 8 songs, and then we did a couple of my other songs. My first album, we did them orchestra-wise. But when we decided to do the 8 songs, the other 2 were not recorded live. They were recorded, but the other 8, I stood there. And being in this giant booth with all of these musicians, with the strings and the drums and this, it was a trip. I cried the first day I recorded. I was actually crying because I heard it. I heard them behind me, and it was just like this. It was like it was a dream come true. I always wanted to record with the orchestra. I'm probably gonna do it again at some point. But it was so beautiful, and just the music and doing it live. I never done anything live before. Usually I record, and put the music in later. We do. I mean, like it's process. It was a trip.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I started off like 4 years ago. Somebody said, "We love your voice." I do radio and TV, and so I love your voice. You should do something. Someone challenged me to write a song. I wrote a song in 20 minutes. It came to me, Divine Intervention, and that song was "I Am Ready." And then what I did is I recorded it. I thought it'd be a one-off. Let me kind of keep fun. Made a little disco number. Everybody loved it. And then producers were like, "You should do more songs." And then now 6 albums later. So
that's really cool. So wait, how old were you when that first song?
I am 51 years old. So at the time I was 47.
I love that. I mean that story is just so. Yeah, no, I mean that's not like so old, but I mean it is kind of thing, because so many people believe that like if you don't become a musical, if you don't do all that hard work as a child with your helicopter parent or whatever and all this, or if you don't have this natural thing that's discovered when you're still young, at least if not a child, then you're just not a musical person and you can't do music. And there's, maybe like the music teacher you had in elementary school told you just move your mouth and don't sing,
Yes.
don't. There's so many stories of that, and it's horrible.
Yeah, it
Music,
is.
yeah.
And it's funny because since then, I've actually helped other folks realize their dreams later in life. They're not as old as I am. They're in their 30s or whatever. But I'm showing them, try it. You want to try something, try it. So I got into this entertainment world at 40. So I wasn't in it. I've been in it for 11 years, but I mean, I got into it at 40. I did a few things in my late 30s, but like really full time, 40 years old. So I tell people like my story because I'm older into this, but I'm like fully in it. And it's like, I know folks who started later in life and they have success. I mean, maybe I was meant to have it now and not when I was younger.
Sure. It's like, I mean, once you get started, it's like there's the inertia and you can just get in. It doesn't matter when, like, just get in. It doesn't take long to just do a whole lot of stuff. I think that's really,
Thank you.
yeah, it's very inspiring. Yeah.
Yes, I love music. I like listening to music. I like music theory. I like all that stuff. And I took, classes in college and in high school, and I've always played an instrument of some sort. And I played piano. I started taking lessons when I was like 5.
Yeah.
As sister, you
Like
played.
you have a musical background.
Yeah, I do. So I come from singers. I have some singers in my family and stuff. But and I have an uncle who's a drummer. Used to make drums and then play them. Here in LA. It was very cool. I have one of his drums over here in the corner. I can't pull it out. But yeah, I have a guitar. I'm trying to learn how to play guitar. So I'm like, I like music. I love listening to it. I love hearing it. I love analyzing it. I just
Yeah,
like music.
me too. Yeah. I mean, but I think, there are, for the people that aren't fortunate enough to have a musical family. I mean, there's so many people who just think they're not musical and they don't believe that, or they wish they could, but it's like, there's so much music that you can make without any specialized skill. It's like,
Exactly.
and I think that, yeah, there's just, there's been a culture of like stardom and prodigy and ism and, and performative music in education. I mean, music education, academia is like kind of the whole enemy in all this, but in creating this, but yeah, it's kind of damaging, and it's unfortunate that there's so many people that don't believe that they are able to participate in music, and music can do so much. So
Yeah.
anyway,
I
that's
love music. I can talk music all day long too. I have another show for that. I can talk music about another show.
yeah, right.
I'll have you on that show for something. We'll talk music in depth. But I think,
I'd love to.
but I think it all relates. It still for me, it relates to me as a left-handed person that I didn't put limitations on myself. It wasn't like I was like, well, I didn't think I was any more special because I was left-handed, be able to do music, and I don't think I'm any less special for doing music as a left-handed person. I just feel like it's all creativity. It's like whatever the brain decides to come up with. I don't know for sure. I mean, I've heard things too, like, well, the right brain, I mean, you're in your right mind and you're more creative. I don't know if that is it or not. I know people who are right-handed, of course, are very creative. So I mean, I don't know what that means, but it just means for me, I had a mindset change, just period. I try stuff. I'm a writer. I just try things.
Yeah, and I know that, I mean, music, the act of doing music and learning music and practicing music, it has, it is using both brain hemispheres.
Yeah.
And it's unique, I mean, in that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of people talk about that. So
I agree with that. So when you're out and about, do you recognize other left-handed people? Like, do you see them? Do you like, oh, the left-handed? Do you catch it?
I couldn't say that
Okay.
I know I don't. And I'm really, yeah, I really don't. I can't. I couldn't say.
Like in movies and stuff, you don't recognize a left-handed. You see they're left-handed. You don't see that in movies and stuff either. Like, you don't catch that.
No.
Now you will. I said it.
You think? I know, and I know I've never really even thought about it that way. I do have that kind of feeling of affinity when I learn or when I see, oh, this person's writing with their left hand. I do feel like, oh, okay, like that person is one of us, or like,
Yeah.
I feel an affinity with them. But I can't, I, I don't, I really don't like, I don't feel like I can do that
Okay.
about anything. And I'm always the first one to say, you don't know this about this person. Like, you shouldn't make an assumption about this person if you don't know. Like, yeah.
So as
But
we,
yeah, go ahead.
okay, well, as we wrap this up, I just want to ask you, what do you think is one misconception about left-handed people that you've kind of heard or something, if you've heard anything?
Well, I mean, the classic, yeah, I mean, like we've been talking about. I mean, yeah, there's positive stereotypes. I guess one thing that comes to mind now too is that left-handed people have terrible handwriting.
Oh,
It's
right.
very messy. Um, and
I have nice handwriting, so I know what they're talking about.
do you really?
I do.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I guess that's also a stereotype about doctors. And I mean, with
A lot of them
our,
do. I used to be a nurse. A lot of them do have bad handwriting. I'm like, oh,
yeah, right. I
what does
mean,
that mean? I'm saving somebody's life. What's going on? Yeah.
there's so, yeah. Yeah. And that makes me wonder what percentage of like,
Yeah.
the correlation of handedness among, how many among doctors, but handwriting. And I mean, I feel like my handwriting is very messy, but I can make it neat if I want to slow down, like I can write neatly, but then there are people that are just like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. My dad has really strange handwriting. Like, it's really funny looking. I've never seen any other handwriting that looks like my dad's handwriting. It's so unique. And my sister has, looked at my handwriting and said, "Oh, your handwriting is looking more like dad's and stuff." And it it kind of does. I mean, I write very quickly. And I like to write quickly. I love to write with a pencil. It's like there's less real need to do that nowadays. Like, to actually, like, you have to really want to do it. But I really do love to just write, and I like to draw sometimes. I don't. I'm not really confident about my drawing and art skills, and I don't consider myself kind of like a visual artist in any way. I'm really sloppy and stuff, but I do just love to write
Yeah.
with my hand.
I love it.
And I always do get the smear, and
Oh, yeah.
like
Yeah.
I was really surprised. There was a moment when I saw myself in a mirror writing, and I was like, oh my God, I do write in that weird lefty way. And I thought that I hadn't thought that I did. I was like, yeah, like, I know my dad looks really weird and he does this. But when
Yeah.
I saw myself, I was like, oh, I am doing that. I've just never seen myself like from that angle.
Yeah, I don't. I write like a right-handed person. I think I taught
Yeah.
myself. It's like I turn the paper and I write. I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I guess I was a kid. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I was like, I want to do the other thing. I think my brother was the same way too. I think. I'm not sure. And my grandson. I think we all. I think my grandson does write like this. I can't. I have to look at him next time. I can't remember.
I don't know, but it is so interesting to think about the ways that people learn to write. And but then once you're an adult, it's like I can try to write to, like, even with my left hand, if I just try to change the technique,
Yeah.
like I can't do it. And that's so interesting. And I have, tried at various times to write with my right hand, and it's interesting to think that, like, you can grow your brain by trying to do things with the non-dominant hand. I'm sure you know all about that, having gone through Bell's palsy.
Oh yes, I had to really learn right side stuff, and it was like a nightmare. I always thought if anything happens on the left side of my body, that's the nightmare, right? Whether it's an arm or a leg or whatever. And I've broken legs before, and I'm like, why the left side? Why the side is my dominant side of everything? Having the Bell's palsy on the left side was very just like it wasn't fun anyway. Period. But just like, why the left side? I really had to relearn my right side, kind of like I
And
realized
so
I was dominant.
are you, and so you do most everything left-handed, like a
I'm one of
true
those true
southpaw?
left-handed. I'm one of those true left-handed paws. I'm one of those true southpaws. I'm a lefty most everything except for bowling. I bowl right-handed.
Yeah, there's always one little,
For
at
some
least,
reason,
yeah, it's I find that it's so rare to meet somebody who just really doesn't do anything right-handed. Like,
right? I
it's
agree.
it's really really interesting, and I get, maybe that connects to the fact that, you know, the left-handed people are found to have a lower degree of lateralization
Yeah,
in their brain, that there's, you know, and it is, and you know, it is a right-handed world,
it is.
like computer mouses,
Mhm.
stuff like that. It really, it's, I just get really excited when I just think about different actions. And I know this is, I tend to like be a little bit, I tend to not have any shame about talking about really gross stuff. And I know that in my message to you, I said, I talked about how I wipe my butt with my left hand,
Yes.
because yeah, like whenever there has been a time like that I have for some reason had to not, I wasn't able to use my left hand when I had to use the bathroom, it has been very difficult, like very awkward. Um,
Interesting. That's
and
very
I don't think people really don't talk about
yeah.
that particular thing much. And it, yeah, I mean, like, um, how, you know, holding devices and tapping on like touch screens and stuff.
Mhm.
I think I am different than most people because I don't do thumbs. I hold the phone in my left and I am actually typing with my right finger. But
I,
like and if I'm
or
drawing,
actually, I hold my left and type with my left at the same time.
yeah, and I think that's, I mean, and I try, so there are times when I do that, but like the most comfortable, if I'm like being comfortable, I've got my right hand typing.
And
Um,
I never thought of it before. I'm like, now I'm like, see, you always, every show, I'm like, because right, I actually
yeah,
hold it with my left and I type with my thumb, with one thumb on my left hand side.
yeah, and it's just funny how many things there are that you never thought about it, and you're surprised when once you do, um,
That's
you know,
interesting.
check yourself.
Yeah, now that's, see, every show, I tell you something new. No one's brought that up on the show.
And it's like brushing teeth is another one, and I forget it almost every time I think about it. I'm like, do I brush my teeth left-handed? I can't remember, and I have to like go brush my teeth to remember which hand it is. That,
Yeah,
because I can't, I really can't. I'm pretty sure it is my
yeah.
left that I brush with, but
Mine is my left.
yeah.
Hmm.
And like, you know, putting on watches and bracelets and things is another one. And
Yeah, yeah. Where you place a watch, you place it with your left hand or your right hand, things like
I
that.
mean, I guess that's one way you can spot
Mhm.
a left-handed person, is if they've got a watch on their right
Yeah.
wrist. Yeah.
Except my daughter, who's right-handed, puts hers on the right hand, which is because she's weird. She goes, "I'm weird. That's why I do it." I'm like, "Why do you do it?" Because I like it on the right hand. But you're right-handed. Don't do that. But most left-handed people put on their right hand, right wrist.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. I don't know. Very interesting. But they brought some good things. I'm like, wow, I haven't thought about that before. That's interesting. I add to the list of questions for other people. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just very, and being left-handed is just an interesting thing. It does feel like a club. It just feels like, you know, I think there's more left-handed people than we think out there. I mean, it used to be like, there's just 10% of people. I think there's more. I'm meeting more and more of them. I just think that they just weren't out, so to speak, or they were made to be right-handed.
Yeah, and I mean that's of course, you know, really interesting too. I mean, my grandmother being left-handed, that's always been interesting, because I'm like, wait, didn't everybody get forced, you know, to use their right hand? Like, she must have been really stubborn. And I, you know, I think my dad and I are really like hard-headed
Yes.
personality
Yes.
people. I mean, I don't know, but going back to oh, there was oh yeah, I wanted to say this before I forget it. Like one experience that I do remember in high school, I just remember in PE, field hockey was one of the units that we did. And, you know, I had a lot of girlfriends play field hockey. It was a sport that's only for girls.
Right.
And, but like when but everybody got taught field hockey in PE class in like 10th or I forget what grade. But I remember that they just didn't make left-handed field hockey sticks.
Oh,
Like
right.
all of them have the curve going this way. And that pissed me off so much because like really I don't know, I mean what is that, and like regular hockey, street hockey or ice hockey, I mean they just have, it doesn't matter, like
Right.
it doesn't matter because you're using both sides and it's just like whatever dominant hand kind of steers it. But playing field hockey, it's like you have to be right-handed, and that I remember getting really riled up about that when I
Funny, interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I understand that. I understand that.
and maybe they do make them. Maybe it was just that my school didn't have any, but I think I did look into it, and I think at the time I discovered they just don't make it. That's just not right.
I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't back then, especially. I just wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there's a lot of things that weren't done then or probably done now. But
I mean,
back
it's
then,
still, no, I mean,
yeah,
yeah, left-handed desks,
yeah.
there's just one in the whole
Oh yeah,
college
remember
lecture
that.
hall. And
Remember that.
left-handed scissors, though, people would, you know, teachers would give me the left-handed scissors, but I don't cut with scissors left-handed. I couldn't, that would like annoy me when they would give me those left-handed scissors because,
So funny.
yeah.
So funny. I love it. Well, Rebecca, thanks for being on the show. This is a very, again, eye-opening. I wrote down all these notes, I have all these notes on both sides of my paper. Very interesting stuff. That's why I love doing the show. Thanks for sharing your thoughts and your story. I love that. This
Thank
is
you so much for having me.
my pleasure. And I'll have to have you on my other show about music. We'll set something up for that.
That sounds great.
We'll talk
Yeah.
music. I like to talk music all day long. So we'll
Oh
do
yeah.
that. Yeah, we'll do that one.
Talking about music is like dancing about architecture.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You know that quote, but yet yeah, that's why you can never.
Yes, we'll talk about that. So, folks, Left-Handed with Lots to Say is on all streaming services. You can go ahead and find it there under JLJ Media. Go ahead and follow it. If you see it, follow it and check out some of the other episodes I have. I think I have 8 episodes now on there. So go ahead and check those out. Everybody from different walks of life talking about what it's like to pump gas left-handed, what it's like to do sign language left-handed. There's a whole bunch of this stuff that
Oh yeah.
seriously, this stuff. Listen, the episodes are all like maybe 20 to 30 minutes long. They're not that long, but they're all very interesting. Seriously, every show I've done is like, what? Hunting left-handed. There's other things. All kind of stuff. All kind of stuff on there. And you can follow this video on my channel, JLJ Media on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe. It's like down there, or down there, or down there, or wherever it is. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And go ahead and watch the playlist. Again, you can either watch us or listen to us. You have 2 choices, whatever you want to do. I make sure I give everybody options. Sometimes I like to listen to it on the podcast, hello podcast listeners, while you're jogging or at the gym or driving. And then other folks can just sit down and watch on their televisions, and so you can watch us on your television screen or on your computer screen. So either way, go ahead and like it, subscribe, share with any other left-handed people. I want to thank all the left-handed groups on Facebook. Let me share this podcast on there. All my lefties out there, hello. Share with everybody out there too. Everyone, you can follow me at James Lott Jr. everywhere, basically everywhere, even on TikTok. Follow me on TikTok. James Lott Jr. I do fun videos on there. And everyone, please stay safe, stay sane, and wash your hands.